right, welcome back to All American. I'm your host, Maddie Anderly. If you are listening or watching this episode, I have Savannah Stone on the podcast, and I'm so pumped. Welcome, Savannah.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
So pumped. So Savannah actually lives in Tallahassee, Florida. So we couldn't do it in person, but never say never. I feel like one day we'll have to do it. But yeah, I'm so excited. So Savannah is a model, a wife, and I would now consider you a social media figure. Your content is fabulous. If you do not follow her, go do so on Instagram and TikTok. But she puts out the best content about conservative beliefs, biblical beliefs, very unpopular opinions, which they are popular secretly, but you obviously get like a little bit of hate as well, and that just comes with the territory. But your bio is Hollywood's worst nightmare, which I think is such a slay. I am freaking obsessed with that. So we'll get into that, but I would love to hear just like a little bit about yourself and kind of how you started on TikTok.
Yeah, thank you. That was such a sweet introduction. So first and foremost, I grew up as a model and actress. So that's kind of what I did throughout my childhood. I competed in pageants. I was very much wanting to be in the entertainment industry. That was like my passion. It still is. But, this election like changed a lot for me. I've always had very strong opinions. My mother is very strong-willed, therefore I'm the same way. And so this election was just historical, to put it point blank. It was so different than any other election we've had. It was also the first election that I've been able to vote.
Yeah,
So, of course, I actually had a say in who's going to be the next president.
right.
But, it kind of happened randomly. I mean, the backstory, to put it short, it was,
Yeah,
me and my husband got married back in March, and we moved out of our hometown to a bigger city. And of course, that was where the opportunity was for me. And then flash 6 months later, we ended up moving back to our hometown because my husband got a better job. And
nice.
I was kind of at a point where I was just praying, and I was like, what do I do with my life, God? Like, I
Yeah,
don't know what to do now. I'm back in my hometown. I said I would never move back here. And then I posted a video right after the election, and it just popped off.
yeah,
And so I kept going, and now I've kind of created a little bit of a career out of it.
yeah,
So it's a huge blessing, and I say it's random, but I don't believe anything is random. I
totally.
believe that that happened for a purpose, and that video popped off for a purpose, and here we
Yeah.
are.
So that's actually funny because that's how I found your account, was that first TikTok. And I saw it and I was like, this girl gets it. Like, I feel like I have finally come across a just like another female that is like a little bit younger, and she's not like super crazy liberal. Like, she just has her head on her shoulders. And it's like, oh my gosh, like she's saying everything that I'm thinking. And I feel like if anyone listens and they go to your socials, like they're gonna completely understand what I mean. Because people need to be hearing this stuff. And I think that's why obviously we get like a little bit of a hateful DM or comment every now and then, because the left, well, we'll get into this too, but the left loves to hate on us. And so it takes like a very strong-willed person and a very outspoken person that just does not care. So I respect it immensely. Okay, so your following since then, like, would you say you've gotten like good support as well, or has it been most like, is it like 50-50, like hateful and nice, or how would you say it is?
I mean, just as humans, we always take the negative and we think about it more than the positive. If I was statistically speaking, I would say that I have had more positive messages, comments, things like that. However, there was a very popular liberal influencer with over 1 million followers who stitched one of my videos actually. And I woke up the next morning and I had like thousands and thousands of messages, comments,
Wow.
that I didn't really understand. There was like they were calling me Cruella, and I was like, what's going on? And I 2 days later I found the video, and I'm like, oh. And so I
Oh,
was on the wrong side of TikTok for a little while, but I think I'm finally getting my algorithm back.
yes. No, that's good. That's good. So, what made you, so did you remind me if you grew up in a conservative household, or like how did that shape you? And I feel like you posted you used to be a feminist as well. So like how did you like go from this transition into being so like outright and outspoken about your beliefs as a conservative?
Yeah, I did grow up in a conservative household, and then just throughout high school, I think just, being around other people who don't believe the same thing you do or don't believe what your parents believe in,
Mhm.
you kind of get indoctrinated. The modeling industry had a lot to do with that. Social media
Yeah,
had a lot to do with that. So I became very brainwashed by modern feminism.
yeah,
I didn't really want to get married. I kind of wanted to be like this independent career woman. I
yeah,
didn't necessarily have conservative values. Thank God I wasn't able to vote at that
right?
time. But I
Weird.
honestly like the reason is Jesus, and that's literally the
Yeah,
answer. I kind of just my walk with Christ led me to where I was like, you know what? The traditional woman is so much different than what modern feminism is pushing on
yes,
us. And then also, I mean, none of the liberal values align with the Bible. Like I can't think of one of them.
yeah,
And so that changed me a lot. And then I'm definitely a skeptic. Like I don't believe anything that the government tells us that
yeah,
I was taught in school. So I
mhm,
kind of went down this rabbit hole of
yeah,
US history that was false. The government, just
yeah,
so many conspiracy theories is what the left likes to call it, but it's actually truth.
yeah,
And so that changed my opinion and made me even more far right than the traditional
yeah.
conservative.
I love that. Even in my own personal testimony, like I didn't really talk about this on my testimony episode yet, but like uh when I was kind of just doing my own thing, like before I like rededicated my life to Christ, I really fell into like the new agey lingo of like manifesting and and obviously like I didn't really even fully understand what it meant. Like all these like Capricorn, like I'm technically I guess a Capricorn, but like I don't like pay attention to that stuff. But like I was starting to like fall into all this stuff and it's like when you get like sucked into like just how society is and how people talk, like it's everywhere. And so like the feminism, the new age stuff, whatever it is, like it can be so easy to just like fall into these like belief systems, but it's evil and it's also backwards to like how things are supposed to operate. And we even talked about this and we'll get into like a little bit of the feminism later, but like just because you aren't a feminist does not mean that you don't support women. Like I think that's where liberals get it backwards. And anyways, I just think that's so far from the truth. But after sharing your political beliefs, how and we're gonna talk all about this because you and I were chatting yesterday about it, but how did that affect your career, relationships, everything? Like online, I mean everything.
Well, career first and foremost. I mean, if anybody knows anything about the modeling and acting industry, it is one of the most liberal, in fact, the most liberal industry in the country. And so I think my last job that I had was in like late October, and then I posted my first video in November, and I have not booked a job since then. I
Yeah.
actually booked a job with Hulk Hogan like that week. And I was like, you
Wow.
know what? Whatever. Like they're gonna see Hulk Hogan all over my page anyways. They're not gonna like me after that.
Right.
But of course that I've had a couple modeling agencies reach out to me and say that they no longer want to book me, no longer want to promote me because in this new age, obviously clients are coming to your social media and they're scrolling through it because they have to like your personality, they have to like what you post, things like that. But
Mhm.
it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make at this point. I know that down the road, if I'm doing what Christ wants me to do, that another opportunity will come my way, whether that is in the modeling and acting industry or whether it's something completely different.
Right.
So I trust him in that. And then friendships, I mean, I've definitely had some people that I went to high school with reach out and just say nasty things to me.
Yeah.
But other than that, I haven't lost really any close friends because the friends that I keep around me, I make sure that we have the same values and the same beliefs. Otherwise, it would be hard to be friends. So
Right. Yeah.
at least that part is all good.
Yeah, no, that's good. I even applied so when I moved to Charlotte, like I was like, okay, I'm gonna like see what other jobs are out there. And I applied to a marketing agency here and they actually go to my church, like they're the sweetest people ever. But they were like, hey, like our HR basically like called and they flagged your Instagram account because they saw you're a Trump supporter and we can't hire you because we have a lot of liberal clients. And I'm like, and they're like the owners are conservative. So it's just funny. I'm like, do what you got to do like for your business. I get it, like you're self-employed, but also like it's so sad like how people like cut you off just because of that. And like, and you know this, but like the left party is very like all inclusive, they say, and it's like everyone's welcome and we love everyone. And I'm like, okay, but you don't like us, but it's fine. Um, but I don't know, like it's just sad how some people, and I even got some comments from like people I used to go to church with in Dallas and like how they disagree with me. And I'm like, how do you disagree? If you call yourself a Bible believing Christian, like how do you disagree with me? Like genuinely, because abortion, I could go fully I actually had an episode on abortion, but like when you go
Yeah.
into that, like how are you okay voting for someone that's okay with that? Or whatever it is, like homosexuality, like transgender pushed on kids. I mean, I just the list goes on and on. It's like uh I don't know. It's just sad. And I feel like sometimes I have to like dumb myself down, but I'm like, you know what? This election taught me it's not even like a right versus left, it's a good versus evil.
Yeah.
And so that made me very like comfortable talking about these things. And I'm sure for you too, that I can like confidently talk about this and I don't even care if I step on someone's toes because it's just the truth, like the biblical truth.
Yeah. Well, and
Uh,
the problem for all these years why conservative women especially haven't been able to come out is because we have been trying to people please the left. Like
yeah.
why are we scared of stepping on toes? Why are we scared of making somebody else upset? Because they have been posting their beliefs for years, bullying
Mhm.
us, calling us names, but as soon as
Right.
we come out, there's an issue. And so conservative women have to kind of like take our space back.
Yeah.
And
Right.
actually, all Christians, all conservatives have to post about it, have to talk about it. We have to
Mhm.
have a space too. It can't just be the left overtaking everything. And if you don't believe with them, then you're canceled. I
Yep.
won't stand for it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's also one of the reasons I started my podcast was because I myself like couldn't find very many like Christian conservative podcasts or just influencers in general, but it's either they're very like Christian, but they don't want to get into politics or just like conservative topics, or they're really conservative, but maybe they're not like Christian based, if that makes sense. And
Right.
so I don't know. That's why I started it because I'm like, we need to be talking about this stuff. Like, no one's talking about it. And I'm so glad I'm self-employed because I'm like, well, it's not like I have a boss that's just gonna yell at me and like fire me or something. Um,
Exactly.
okay, so let's talk about, I guess we are kind of leading into this perfectly, but what is it like being a conservative woman in our modern society? Um, to start, I feel like there's this level of hypocrisy that you and I were talking about yesterday. Um, and we're kind of getting into that, but like how they are totally fine talking trash about people that have our beliefs, but we can't do it back, or otherwise we're like a horrible person. So like, how would you say are some things like maybe you've experienced personally, or like just seen on the internet, or just in person in relationships or whatever, like how it's like really affected us as women, or I guess men too, but in general, if we're conservative.
Yeah, it's actually funny. I did kind of like a funny video on TikTok that said like an interview with a liberal. And it was basically like me acting as a liberal and somebody interviewing me, and it got taken down.
Oh,
It was complete and it was blowing up. So I was kind of upset. It's still on
dang
Instagram.
it.
But yeah, I mean, they're hypocritical and we can, there's so many different things. But I mean, first and foremost, like feminists say that they support all women, but as soon as you say you're a conservative woman, they
Mm,
completely cut you off. I've experienced that in friendships, I've experienced that in
right,
acquaintances, and just in the whole feminist movement. And so that's really discouraging to me because you can't say that you support women, but you
right.
don't support unborn women and you don't support conservative women.
Mm,
And so, as a conservative woman living in this society of hypocrisy, it's hard, first and foremost, to make friends with people who are not conservative or who do not align with your values. Like, yes, I want to be friendly to everybody, but it's hard when they don't even want to have a conversation with you.
right. It's very rigid because I feel like, if let's say I go to like a workout class, like a group fitness class, and I go and sit next to someone and we're just chatting it up, like we get along great when we're not talking about these like political things, right? But if her and I were to go to coffee and let's say she's a super uh feminism oriented woman and she, loves all these things, like she's pro choice and all this stuff, like she would probably not like me, and we probably wouldn't wanna talk anymore. So it's like, why like, I hate that there's a drift, but it's also like, again, like, I'm not gonna apologize for truth, but it's just I don't know, it's like, as soon as you know how someone thinks, like, I feel like in our society, it's like you automatically have to hate each other, uh, and so I really wish that going off of your point that there were more, like, just calm, like, conversations, like, and being open to hearing, like, I wish they were a little bit more open to hearing our side of things as well, but, um, I completely agree with that. I don't know if you have any more you wanna add on that one, but
Yeah, I mean, it's like a closed-mindedness, like, there's a verse, and I'm not gonna say it right, but there's a verse, and I wanna say it's in First Thessalonians,
yeah,
about how there's, like, blinders over their eyes.
yes.
That relates to people who don't know Jesus, and I think that relates to that side as well, because as soon as you try to have a conversation with them, it's instant, "You're uneducated, you're brainwashed,
Mhm.
you're a grifter, you're a right-wing extremist."
Yeah,
It's like, just listen to our side first,
right.
and have a conversation about it, and then you can pick and
Yeah,
choose what you disagree with.
and I think they find that actually, like, a lot of, uh Christian/conservative people are actually so sweet. Like, I feel like they're
Yes.
like, "Oh, you support Trump, you're such a hater." I'm like, "Literally no." Like, I would like to consider myself as a very, like, kind, loving person. It's like,
Mhm.
I don't know, it's just funny how they, like, assume all these things, um, and it is just, like, backwards discrimination. Like, if you think about, like, I don't know, like, obviously, there's, like, racial discrimination, there's, like, prejudice, all this stuff, but, like, even, like, with that job that I applied for, it's like there is a, discrimination towards Trump supporters because no one wants to, like, get involved with that, and I just think in a way that is, like, not, what am I trying to say? Like, freedom of speech in America, if you live in America and you support America as a liberal, you're going against freedom of speech in our country anyway, if you get mad at a conservative for speaking, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it is like a backwards discrimination thing too, and it's like, no, I actually just wanna talk, and I'm actually very nice, I would like to think, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I've said so many times, if a liberal walked into my house, I would welcome them with open arms.
yeah,
It's never an "I hate you" thing. It's, "Here's why you're wrong,"
yes,
like, but I don't hate you.
right,
And I mean, just going with what you said about kind of the backwards discrimination. For example, I have seen so many. There's a video of a liberal male who was saying, I think it would be best for all conservatives to just die. Like, all Trump supporters should die and the world will be a better place. Said it exactly like that. And his video is still up. But if I say the word conservative, my video gets taken down.
yeah,
And so
right,
it's like, if you're gonna do that to one side, you have to do it to both.
yeah,
Or just be like X and have no censorship
yeah,
at all. Yeah.
right. Even, I obviously should know this, it's Mark Zuckerberg, right? He's the founder of Meta or CEO of Meta. Is that the right guy?
I
I I
I
get
get
them
all
all
the
confused,
billionaires
like the Amazon
confused.
guy, and I don't even know.
Yes, it's Zuckerberg.
Yes, so he, like, admitted, right, that he allowed the Democratic Party to censor, like or to that he would censor, like, Facebook and Instagram, and I remember, like, even the last election season, like, 2 times before, when, like, I would post stuff and it'd be like, "Your post is taken down," and it still did happen a little bit this election, but I'm like, what am I saying? Like, and sometimes, like, I didn't actually even talk about politics at all, but it would, like, shadow ban me, and I'm like, "What am I don't even know." It's just so it is unfair, and you do need to do it to both sides if you're gonna do that, but I don't know, I hope that that's something that gets a little bit better. Like, didn't someone, is it the Amazon guy? I love how I'm just calling all these billionaires, like, Amazon
Bezos,
guy,
right?
Meta guy. The Am is it Jeff Bezos? I don't even know.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so
I'm
didn't
like
he, like
90% sure. Yeah.
yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he even donated to the Trump inauguration fund or something like that. I feel like I saw that.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm hoping, like, I don't know, these obviously, like, Elon Musk too, but, like, I feel like these billionaires are maybe slowly starting to be like, "Okay, like, we were wrong," or maybe, like, "We don't fully agree with Trump, but we need to, like, step it up, and, like, this is the direction that the country's going in, and we just need to, like, join in, if that makes sense, even if they don't agree. I'm hoping. Which also, I was gonna say this podcast episode will be released on Inauguration Day. If you're listening, you're probably listening on Inauguration Day or it just happened. Which I feel like is so fitting for us and our topics today. So I love that. Um, okay, so if you had to give some advice for women who want to be more outspoken in their political beliefs, obviously, like I share on my platforms, but I will say I feel like you like it's a lot of your content is more focused around this. So this is why I'm asking you, but like how can you encourage women to, if they're probably like scared of what their friends are gonna think or parents or grandparents or their boss, coworkers, like how would you encourage them to be able to share their conservative beliefs more?
I mean, first and foremost, pray about it, of course, because there is a certain way to articulate your beliefs without it coming across as hateful,
Mhm.
um, or without, everybody hating you. So if you have a corporate job, a 9 to 5 job, and that is your sole income, I would not go on social media and
Yeah,
share your conservative values. But to friends and family and things like that, I think it's really important to stand up for your beliefs. Let's say, like at the Thanksgiving dinner table, when somebody's talking about abortion, and you don't agree that the killing of an innocent baby is correct,
mhm,
don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. And if that means doing more research on the topic, or if that means praying about it, reading your Bible about it, that's the proof that you can bring
yeah,
into the dinner table, the friend group, whatever it may be. But don't be afraid of it, because your reward will be greater in heaven than it is on
yeah,
this earth.
definitely.
And so that's what I would say to women: just be bold and just do it,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah, exactly. Um, I do like that because I think a lot of people get caught up in, well, I don't know enough about this topic. Like, what if I don't have a comeback or like I don't have enough research? And so I would encourage you to, like, do that research, like you said, and, like, know like, you obviously, like, believe these things, but, like, know why you believe these things,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like apologetics for Christianity, but also, like, in politics, like, you need especially in politics, you need, like, facts to back up why you believe things and, like, statistics, and, like, obviously, you don't have to be, like, the smartest person in the room, but it almost gives you more of a confidence to be like, "Hey, actually, I know some things about this, and I really wanna, like, share my side with you." And, again, it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be, like, a hateful conversation. I wish people would, like, welcome, like, just conversation more, like a healthy one, and just talk about things. So, yeah, and if it's family, it's, like, hard 'cause, like, their family, you can't, like, just get rid of family if
Yeah, that's
if you
another thing, is I was gonna say, like, know your audience. Uh,
Mhm.
for example, there's some people who I cannot argue with. Like, if you don't believe that a fetus is a life, we can't go from there, and we can't really argue about abortion
Right,
because you don't even believe that it's a life to begin with.
right.
Uh, and then as far as the research thing, I would say if you are really passionate about a topic, research the heck out of it. Like, become an expert in it, because I mean, for example, I love politics. There's so many different topics that I love, but there's a couple that I am most passionate about, and those are the topics that I nobody will be able to argue with me because I've
Yeah,
done the research and I'm an expert on it.
yeah. And also, this is a little side tip, but, like, watching Charlie Kirk's, like, campus
Yeah,
thing,
he's so good.
like, if you need, like, prompts from
Yeah.
liberals and then you need, like, good, like, not even, like, comebacks, but just, like, knowledge from the opposite direction, like, go watch those campus interviews because they're so good. Some of them are actually freaking hilarious. I'm just like, "What is our world coming to?"
Yeah. Somebody asks you a stupid question, like, go to Charlie Kirk for a good comeback, because he'll just, like, put them in their place, and I love it.
I
So
know. I think he's so cool. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit into like feminism because we kind of touched on this, but like maybe in the sense of marriage, because like a lot of like content I put out is like I guess marriage centered or like just relationship centered. Like maybe you're not married, but you're like dating or engaged, like, and you're bombarded with like feminism all the time, anti men, like I don't know. Do you have any advice for women too who feel this urge like, well, because I get this DM a lot. I don't know about you, but it's like, well, I really feel like I need to like climb this like career ladder,
yeah.
but I have to sacrifice being like a good wife or mom or like my home life being that like nurturing woman. And
Mhm.
like, I don't know, like there's just like this feminism message that's being like shouted at everyone to where women feel like they have to pick one or the other.
Yeah. I mean, to that, I would say you can be both.
Mhm.
And I think it's all about finding the right man too. You need a man that compliments you.
Mhm.
And I have definitely tried to implement some more like marriage advice into my content because it's something that I am strongly passionate about. But I
Mhm.
mean, for me, I'm very much like I have a lot of masculine energy in my career and my ambitions and things like
Right.
that. But when I'm around my husband, like I'm a completely different person. I just my brain switches off because that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You kind of have this balance of the two of like masculine and feminine, and it's actually really nice.
Yes.
It's nice to be able to turn your brain off and not to have to do anything. And I don't really understand because the whole modern feminism push, right, is like women trying to become men.
Mhm.
It's not that we have to do that. It's great to have ambitions. It's great to want to have a great career, but you don't have to put your life on pause to do that. You can be a
Right.
strong career woman and be an amazing wife at the same time. There's a healthy balance between the
Yeah.
two.
For sure. And I think, like, I mean, you even see this in, like, modern, like, rom-coms and stuff. There's just this, like, underlying message of, like, men are so, like, stupid and, like, mentally ill, and, like, some of them are, I mean, not gonna lie, like, some of them are toxic and stupid, but, like, an average good guy, like, they're generalizing that men are horrible and that women are just better than them, period. Like, and I think where I wanna, like, talk about this is especially now that I have a husband and you too, it's like, I can't imagine looking at my husband and being like, "I'm so much better than you," or like, "I have my life more together than you," and it's not a competition, and if you somehow one day, like, let's say you're a feminist, but you, like, get married and all this stuff, like, you are going to view your husband in such a disrespectful light, and respect goes both ways, but I don't know, I just have a problem with that, and it is, I guess, old-fashioned to be like, well, the wife, like, has her role, and of course, you can still be like if you wanna be a corporate baddie, you can do that, but I don't know, like, there needs to be a level of respect for your man, and just for men in
Yeah.
general, if you're not even in a relationship.
Yeah, we're equal in value, but we're different in roles.
Yeah.
And a marriage will not work if you are trying to be the man and the man is trying to be the woman. You're not going to be attracted to each other
Yeah,
first and foremost. Like, let's just be real.
right.
I mean, God designed marriage in a way that it's supposed to be a team coming together, and each person has different roles. I mean, think about like basketball, like different positions have different roles. And so I think that that's just something that feminism has destroyed. It's destroyed the how sacred marriage is. Like
Yeah.
nothing is sacred anymore, especially marriage. And like I said, like finding a masculine man will change your entire attitude on that. I love to use myself as an example because I was a feminist when me and my now husband met.
I was gonna
And
ask you, like, how you were when y'all met.
oh yeah, I mean, like, I go back through our messages and I'm like, "I cannot believe I, like, talked like that." Like, I was just so different, and I'm so glad that I changed my ways. Like, he has truly turned me into a godly woman, a wise woman, a feminine woman, and
Mhm.
so I say those things and people say that I was brainwashed by my older husband, which we're only 3 years apart, so that's not true.
Yes.
But, when you have a good man, it changes you in a good
Yeah,
way, and so I try to use myself as an example as much as I can because I wasn't always this way. I wasn't always traditional. I was completely opposite.
right.
But a good godly man will make you change your mind.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because I really wanted to talk about this on a podcast episode. This is perfect. Because I was the same way when I met Nick. I was in my photography business era. I was like so busy, like working with photo shoots and like I would like go on dates and stuff, but I was like, I'm not committing. I hate men. They suck. Like I was just like in my bubble, I was like, no one can touch me. I was like, and I don't know. I liked having this mental power over a guy. Like, I don't know. It was almost like a defensive thing for me.
Yeah, yeah.
But so when I met Nick, like if you ever get to meet him, like you'll know he's the most steady, straight to the point guy. Like he's not gonna entertain the BS, you know what I mean? And so he was just like he would start calling me out in a very like non-toxic way, in a very healthy way,
Right.
but he'd be, like, calling me out, like, "Hey, like, you don't need to act like that," or, "Also, I can take care of you," or, "Let me do this for you," or, like, I don't know, after a while, those walls really do begin to break down, and like you said, it did push me towards Jesus more in my walk with God more, because I feel like in a way, like, just how, like, a husband and a wife reflect the relationship of Jesus Christ and his church, um, like, obviously, Jesus pursues his church just like a husband pursues his wife, and I feel like in a way it really, like, humbles you, and women don't like, I guess I should say feminist women don't like to be humbled at all, but having that kind of just, like, humility and being like, "Okay, like, this is a partnership. It's not me versus you, it's not I'm better than you." Um, it really did, like, turn me into, like, women hate this word, but a very submissive wife in a very healthy context, and I love
Yeah,
it.
we have to say healthy context because
Yeah,
we
I know, seriously, I freaking hate it. But it did, like, I love being a submissive wife, that's literally how we are supposed to be as godly women, and, it honestly takes so much pressure off, like you were saying, like,
yeah, I
I
was
don't
gonna
have to
say
think about a thing. Yeah, he does everything for me. So,
mhm. Yeah, I completely agree, and it's funny you said, when he, like, kind of got onto you in a healthy way
yeah,
because when men do that, the left will say it's toxic
yep,
masculinity. But I mean, my husband, when we were dating, he'd be like, "What's with your attitude? Like, fix your attitude." And he was so right, and it's
yeah,
made me a better person in every aspect of my life, so not just in my marriage, but in everything else. I mean, he's made me, like, a better speaker, he's made me a better listener.
yeah.
I could go on and on, but truly marriage is the best gift ever.
Yeah, it really makes you the best version of yourself, the right guy. Um,
Yes.
okay, so let's talk about Hollywood because obviously, like your bio says, you're Hollywood's worst nightmare, and I freaking love that saying. Like, you need to get that like trademarked or something. That is your
I've thought
brand.
about it. Maybe one day I will do merch because I think it's so funny.
Please.
Hollywood's worst nightmare, I don't know how I came up with it, but it's kind of because I got out of Hollywood before it got me.
Mhm,
And I mean, I told you kind of a little bit of this story yesterday, but I was offered a ridiculous sum of money
mhm,
to take off my top in a film.
mhm.
And though it was tempting at the time because that amount of money would have like changed my life and
Right.
changed my husband's life, I said no to the film. And and I think because of that, God has blessed me in so many other ways, just
Yeah.
infinitely. And not to say that I'll never model and act again, but there's that situation, and then there's so many other moments where I was like, this is not where I need to be. This is an evil industry,
Mhm.
not something that aligns with my values at all. So because I am now like an ex model and actress, somebody who technically should be in Hollywood but has
Yeah.
canceled Hollywood, that is where that bio came from.
I'm dead. I know, I love it so much because I've even just been on, like, my whole TikTok feed, which obviously what's that saying? It's like, I built my algorithm brick by brick or something like that, so, like, I I, like, made my TikTok feed this, but it's all about, like, the P. Diddy stuff, the Jay-Z stuff, and
Yeah.
just Hollywood in general, how corrupt it is, and I find this so interesting, and, like, obviously, I'm a conspiracy theorist by heart, so, like, this stuff to me is just, like, my bread and butter. I love talking about it, but I feel like the common themes in Hollywood and obviously, like you said, it's rooted in evil, and you put that on a good one of your TikToks was so good, that Hollywood is rooted in evil, and I don't know, I feel like with the evil comes, like, things like that Satan really likes to throw in your face to tempt you with, like money, lust, or, like, fame, and all these things that seem so promising, and like you said, like, the money could have easily changed your life, and it's, like, tempting to be like, "Well, I'll just do it and suck it up, and then, like, my life's changed and I'll forget about it," or whatever.
Right.
So first of all, props to you for not, but second, like, I think it really is the enemy, like, infiltrating, and I think Satan was the angel of music, I'm pretty sure, before he got kicked out of heaven. Did you know
I
that? I
was
thought
thinking about this today. That's so
really?
funny you brought that up. Yes, because there was like because of my walk with Christ, when a certain song comes on, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to turn that off like right
Yes.
now. You get instant conviction. And I was like getting ready in my bathroom today and a song came on and I was like, nope. And then I was like, that's so funny that Satan was the angel of music because that
Mhm.
is the quickest way to infiltrate somebody's mind.
Yes. Yeah, and obviously Hollywood isn't all music, like, I know there's, like, the acting, modeling, like, all of that in one is it's all a thing. But even when I think of the music, I'm like, of course, and, I actually heard I can't remember who said this, it was, like, a music artist, but they said that, like, the frequencies in the music that some of these artists are putting out is a subconscious, like, Satan worship frequency, like, something that's, like, it transports you, like, mentally, I don't know. And
I
obviously, like
that, yeah.
yeah, and if you have, like, the Holy Spirit, of course, like, you're gonna feel convicted, or also, like, the devil cannot, like he cannot reach you because you have Jesus. Like, he can't fully reach you and destroy your life, of course, because Jesus will protect you, but when we can and, like, if you're let's say you're, like, out at a restaurant and they're playing, like, whatever, The Weekend, like, you can't always, like, control what you're listening to,
Yeah.
right? So, obviously, God protects you, but when it's up to you, like, you don't need to be listening to that. I've been starting to be so convicted of that the past few months, and I've noticed a change in my life since I stopped listening to so much secular music. Um, so it's pretty crazy. Like, I don't know, like, it's such a spiritual world we live in, like, everything is
Yeah.
spiritual.
And people don't believe that, but I mean, we're living in a spiritual warfare.
Yep.
And if you don't believe we are, then you're not intelligent,
Yeah,
point blank.
and
Um,
your eyes aren't open to that idea, or your I
yeah,
guess ears
exactly.
aren't open.
Kevin DeSorbo, who is an amazing actor, he tweeted that he was not blacklisted from Hollywood, but he left because they're all pedophiles, and
Mm,
that pretty much sums up Hollywood.
yes.
It's very evil, and I'm glad that I got out of it before something
Yeah.
worse happened.
Yeah, I know, and were you ever, like, modeling and stuff underage?
Yes. Yeah, that was a big one. There was some, and I don't remember all of it now because I started modeling when I was 13, so I was pretty young. I mean, not as young as there's girls who have started when they were 5, which I could not imagine.
Wow.
But I started really young, and there was like bikini shoots, and there was just stuff that was said to me by producers, directors, photographers that I was like, you probably shouldn't be saying that to an
Yeah,
underage girl.
right.
Um, but just even the stories I've heard from other models, it's
Yeah,
scary. It's really
yeah.
scary. And I
Did you ever
mean,
see the Sound of Freedom movie?
oh my gosh, yeah, that had me in tears.
Yeah,
And
same. I literally, like, watching it, like, I knew I was gonna get emotional, but just watching it was insane, like but it reminds me of that because I think how the little girl got trafficked was her dad or someone took her to a modeling, like,
yeah,
audition. Obviously that's not every single model gig out there, but, like, it's a real thing, and I think it was 350,000 kids this past year or last few years that have gotten trafficked, like, so many, and I don't doubt that a lot of them are in the Hollywood industry.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It was a gut wrenching movie just because that it's actually happening and humans can actually do that to one another.
yeah,
But also I'm like, wow, like that could have very easily happened to me had I stepped on the wrong set or been
yeah,
there are so many scams out there. I mean, I'm at the point where like the past couple years, as soon as I get an email from a client, I send it to my agent and I have them communicate with the client because you don't know if it's legit or if it's a real casting. That's how Jeffrey Epstein got a lot of his victims was through
right.
modeling castings through emails.
Right. I guess while we're on the topic, like, what would you say to maybe like a younger girl who aspires to be a model? Because also on TikTok and just like social media in general, they really glamorize this like model lifestyle, I guess, and just everything that comes with it because they're like, oh, that's so appealing, like all the fame and like beauty and blah blah blah, like all the things about modeling. And obviously it's so fun. And I know you find like enjoyment in that when it's done right. But, like, how would you, like, guide a younger girl who is interested in getting into modeling? Um, and, like, maybe things to, like, look out for or, just the good and bad, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, your confidence cannot be shakable, like at all. Like you have to be the most confident person, no matter what. I've been called too fat, I've been called too skinny, I've been called ugly by the client who booked me, just different things like that, to where you have to just have really thick skin because you never know what's going to be said to you on set or by a client or whatever it may be. So thick skin, number one. There's also a lot of rejection. Like you get like 1 out of 100 castings that you
Yeah.
go to. And then also, I mean, this is something that I did not do that I wish I would. I mean, later now I do, but just having a good relationship with God because of how corrupt the industry is. Like you have to stay close to him. You have to pray about jobs. You really have to kind of like be in tune when you're on set. Like don't be on your phone, like be paying attention to everything. It is such a fun job, modeling and acting is. I do think it is way too glamorized on social media because it's not that
It's
way at
not that
all.
way.
I mean, like the photos that I post from shoots was like zero point 0.1 seconds of the whole time I was on set. Like
Yeah.
there's been times I mean, for one movie, I was in like 40-degree ocean water, completely submerged underneath, and it's just,
They
so
would never know.
yeah, you have to be tough.
Yeah. Even, like, from a photographer side, I've been on, like, big branding shoots or, like, models needing, like, portfolio work and stuff like that, and a lot of them, like, not all of them, because 'cause I've had some great clients too, but a lot of them have just, like you can just tell that they're so insecure with themselves that, like and they're, like, obviously, like, portraying that they're so confident, but it's like you can, like, just
Mhm.
feel that they're just not happy, and it's like, if this is something you wanna do, then that's amazing, but, like you said, just be confident in what you wanna do, and, like, the right things will come along, and I just think every woman is beautiful, like, and we are so hard on ourselves, and so I see, like, some models that are my clients or something, I just wanna, like, give them a hug and be like, "You're doing great, like, and you're
Yeah.
stunning," you know? It's like, don't be hard on yourself, like, so many models are down on themselves and their bodies.
Yeah, I mean, I can completely attest to that. They're the most conventionally attractive women in the world, but they're the most insecure deep down. And it's easy to be when you have people every single day at your job, like criticizing your body, your hair, your skin, and it's a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah,
So, before you jump into it, I would say, you have to do a lot of inner work and a lot of self work to become the most confident version of yourself.
yeah, and also, like, eating disorders, like, I've heard, like, some women, like, modeling I even just, again, on TikTok or social media, like, seeing, like, their stories of modeling and how it developed an eating disorder because they took maybe the comments to heart too much, or they just felt like they were never good enough, so, they developed these eating disorders, and I just think it's so sad, and like you said, there's a way to do it that's healthy, you just, like you said, have to stick to the Lord and be confident in yourself and not feel like you have to, like, give up eating or whatever
Yeah.
it is to achieve that, so, yeah,
Yeah, I
respect for your
remember when I was 15 years old, I remember an agent, measuring my waist. I was tiny. Like,
yeah.
I've never been as skinny as a Victoria's Secret model, but I've always been very thin, and she
Yep.
measured my waist, and she said, "Well, I think you could be in the plus size category," and here I am, like, a 15-year-old girl,
Ugh,
and I'm, like, 120 pounds, and I'm like,
so mad.
"The plus size."
Dude,
That I mean, but, like, telling that to a 15-year-old girl who thinks she's, like, really thin and wants to be on the Victoria's
yes,
Secret runway is so, so discouraging, and it happens to so many
right.
models, so
Yeah,
just guard your heart.
yeah.
For
That's
sure.
insane, especially when you're a teenager, like, that's the most vulnerable, like, developing
Yeah,
years of your life, like that makes me so mad.
see.
Okay, so the last thing I really wanna talk about was, of course, like I said, this episode will be launched on Inauguration Day, and so I'm hoping that this, like, gives encouragement to conservative women, but I would love to hear if there's anything that you are really excited about for the Trump administration or just, like, because I know, like, the election is kind of when it all started for you. I know the election's what sparked me to start this podcast. So, obviously, we're Trump supporters, so we're, like, so excited, and obviously, Trump or any president is not God, and I think a lot
Correct.
of people do idolize
Mhm.
Trump or just any leader in, like, politics or anything because they think, like, "Oh, that's something physical that's, like, gonna save us," but, obviously, Trump is not Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
but we can also be supportive and we can also be excited. So if you have anything that you're like, maybe like that are your favorite topics or things that you're just so excited for with the Trump administration, feel free to share those for Inauguration Day.
Yeah. I love that you said that because I mean, Trump was in office for 4 years and he did amazing things, but we also have to push him. Like we can't just rely on him to fix everything. Like he's not God.
Right.
Um, we can pray for him and we can push him on certain topics. I think the thing that I'm most excited for is just the vanishing of the woke culture.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see I honestly think we're going to see a lot more conservative businesses, public figures, just people
Mhm.
standing forward and standing for their beliefs with having a Republican in office. I mean, he literally said like at the Turning Point America Fest speech, he said woke is BS on
Yeah.
stage. And I thought that that was just that sums up everything. It's
I love it.
perfect. I'm excited to see that kind of like go away.
Mhm.
And then I'm honestly really excited about his cabinet picks. I think RFK was an amazing pick.
Mhm.
I'm hoping and praying that he makes a lot of changes in the health industry. That's something that I'm very passionate about. I'm hoping that we don't have to like look for seed oils every time we pick up a bag of chips or
Yep.
anything, honestly.
Right.
I hope some of the vaccine mandates for children going to school, I hope they don't have to get 70 shots in their arm
Yeah.
anymore just to go to school. And then I'm
Right.
really excited because in Trump's 4 years that he was already president, there were no new wars. I truly believe that he is a peacemaker. He has peace with a lot of the world leaders.
Yeah.
Um, so hopefully there's nothing else. What's going on in Palestine is really, really heartbreaking. I'm hoping that he will do something about
Yeah.
that. And then just more world peace and
Yeah.
no new wars.
Yeah. I love that. I'm also so excited for RFK. Because literally everything in the store is so bad for you. Even like our produce isn't actually that fresh and it's not even that good for you. Like, I don't know. I'm just so excited for that. I think that's going to be amazing. And I think also with if the food industry and just everything with that gets healthier, I think a lot of this mental health issue with like, okay,
Yes.
this sounds crazy, which I feel like you get it, but, like, I feel like our food is affecting, like, all of this liberal mental health madness, and just
I 100% agree.
it's causing some weird, like I again, like, I don't know anything about this, but in my head, I'm like, I think it's affecting so much depression and anxiety to where these people and also some of it's your upbringing, but then to where these people think they're so lonely and they just need someone or they're going through an identity crisis and they need to have a transgender operation. Like, I really think our food and I even feel it, like, if I eat, like, crap, like, literally for Christmas, I ate so bad, which is fine,
Yeah.
like, it's the holidays, whatever, but I felt so anxious after. I was like, I have to calm myself down, and I'm like, if it's our diet, if it's all these chemicals and toxins we're around, like, I can't imagine how much it's maybe affecting some of this I think it is a mental health issue.
Oh,
Um,
I 100% agree. I mean, I think soy is feminizing the men. Like
yeah,
I can go on and
yeah,
on about this topic because I'm the same way. Like I try to eat whole foods all the time, and when I do eat processed food, I emotionally and physically feel it.
mhm,
Um, and yeah, I mean, you're completely right about all of the mental illness. I said something on TikTok. I said, I'm not going to word it correctly, but I was like, if you are depressed, start exercising and eating healthy, and it will fix it.
mhm,
And it really will. Like, if you are eating whole foods and you are moving your body, you will notice a
yes,
huge difference. If you are not sitting on your phone all day and drinking monsters and eating chips, like I promise,
mhm. Your
you will
mental
not.
health you're gonna feel so good about yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. We were meant to move and we were meant to eat
Yeah.
real food.
Yeah, exactly. Last thing I'm really excited for is, I saw I forget what speech or where he was, but he was saying how he wants to bring back, like, prayer in schools and, like, all this stuff for the
Yeah.
younger generation because we are raising up a younger generation and like, obviously, like, even our generation, it's already pretty bad, so I'm like, imagine where, like, these kiddos are gonna be when they're our age, like, if we don't start raising them right or bringing them up in, like, school the right way. I mean, when you think about the 1900s, like, God was very centered in a lot of children's education. even if it was just like a prayer or
Yeah.
teachers like talking about God, like that was how a lot of people were raised in the 1900s. And I'm like, we need to bring that back. And so I'm so glad that Trump's going to do some stuff about that. And even Oklahoma, and I believe Texas is on its way if it's not already, which is so cool. But they voted to bring Bible, like Bible-based teaching back into the curriculum. And if you basically like if your school decides to do it, like it's up to every school, but if your school decides to do it, then you get like funding for like your school administration and like it's really cool how they're doing it, but I really hope that that also happens and that like I don't know, it'll influence the younger generation and that they can like
Yeah.
be brought up and we can like they can also be part of changing the world and our culture. Um, so I'm just so excited. And again, like Trump's not God, but I hope that he does like a lot of good things. Uh,
Yeah.
so I'm really excited for that. I think it's gonna be great. But I
We will see such a shift once he's in office. Just
mhm.
we're getting
Almost
away
like go back
from
to how it used to be. Yeah,
yeah, I hope so. I mean, of course, there's still going to be liberals with their agendas trying to push it, but
yeah,
for the most part, I think we're going to see a way different America in 4 years.
yeah, 100%. Oh, we'll have to do a part two because like we should just do a conspiracy theory episode.
I know, I know.
It'd be
That
so
would be
fun.
so fun. Yeah, we'll
But
do that in person. We'll do a part 2 in person.
yes, I'll have to fly down. And also you're like 2 hours from Seaside, so and I love Seaside. I think you're 2 hours.
Yeah, I am. I love Seaside.
Yeah. Ugh, maybe I can just fly down and we'll go to Seaside and we can record and have a trip and just do the whole thing.
Yeah,
But
that would be
yes. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I honestly just respect you so much and everything that you're doing, and I really can see your content just popping off and like I don't know. I think you're doing so much good on social media that we don't really have, and you're filling a space that really needed to be filled. So I'm so happy you came on to talk and spend some time with me. So thank you so much.